relates to what you can do now and what it's going to be like, kind of getting to that next level. All right. So big theme for this piece of the presentation is creating and maintaining your personal high performance environment. And when I say, for me, when I say high performance, that's not just, varsity athletes or professional. All of us are in a high performing environment. If you're taking AP classes, if you're, the lead role in the school play or something like that, that's a high performing environment. A lot of times with sports, we don't see it as that. But in all reality, it is, for adults, for moms and dads and friends and neighbors who are, very successful business people and have presentations, that's a high performing environment. And how we create and maintain our environment around us, how active we are, how well we eat, those types of things play a role in how well we perform. All right. So if you've seen any of my other presentations in recordings on the YouTube channel, you're probably familiar with this picture. For me, this is always kind of a homing point, right? Something to come back to, because it really reflects, at least for me, what high performance is. And it's a clear balance of everything going on. If that bottom stone is us, right? And then all the other stones above that are everything else in our life. It's our rest, it's our homework, it's our family, our friends, our practices, all those things. And, whenever, for me, when I look at this picture, right, it just a reminder that whenever things get a little bit heavier on one side, something else has to give to keep things in balance. That if things get too heavy on one side and we don't let up, that's where things are going to break or get off balance a little bit. So, as I mentioned before, I've come up with what I call the 4 pillars of performance. These are the 4 key areas that, as we mentioned, you can control, right? This isn't how skillful you are, how naturally talented, how much you get selected. All these things are what you control. And within each of these pillars are different habits that support our ability, our wellness, our health, and our ability to perform. So what we'll do, we'll go through each one a little bit, and I'll just give you a few tips and kind of suggestions on each one. So pillar number 1 is our wellness, right? Again, I talked about how well we take care of ourselves, and that's going to dictate how alert we are in class, how well we present, how clearly we can think and focus for that paper, that exam. And for me, this is where it really starts for athletes. It's taking care of your sleep, your hydration, and your recovery. And we'll go into more detail with that in a minute. All right. So with your sleep, right? A couple of key things. Sleep. A lot of professionals, a lot of experts say that sleep is the best performance enhancing drug, and I say that in quotes because it's not really something you take, but it's the number 1 performance enhancement for any athlete or any individual. Right? There's been a number of studies that have shown that improved sleep results in improved performance, and conversely, decreased sleep results in decreased performance, or even worse, an increased risk of injury. Right? So sleep is always top of the list. I always say with sleep, it's quality over quantity. Right? You can lay in bed for 10 hours, but if you're tossing and turning and you wake up for 20 minutes here and you have a hard time falling, that's not really good quality sleep. So kind of controlling your environment to where you get good quality sleep, you're in that deep sleep mode, that's going to be far better than just laying in bed for X number of hours. All right. And then what's your routine? We talked about manufacturing your sleep, and there's things that you can do to kind of promote your sleep and promote better quality sleep. Staying off of your technology before you go to bed, setting a good temperature, right? Not having lights on. Don't keep the TV on or your computer on. Setting your phone far away so you're not disrupted by alerts and notifications throughout the night. those are things that can kind of lead to a good sleep environment, right? And then also make sure that you're recharging. Use naps if and when possible. Even short naps of say, 8 to 10 minutes have been proven to bring benefit. All right. Hydration. Hydration is another performance enhancer, right? When the better hydrated you are, the better you can perform, the more consistently, right? When you're dehydrated, even as much as 2% of your body weight lost, you'll see a decrease in your performance. All right. The thing with hydration is it's more than just something you get out of a bottle. The foods that we eat can also benefit our hydration as well, right? So you hear a lot of times, whenever mom or dad or a teacher or coach is always advocating eat your vegetables, eat your fruits, it's because a lot of those foods have high water concentration or high water content that helps hydrate our body as well as give us, extra vitamins and minerals. And with hydration, you manage what you measure, right? So all too often you ask the question, how much have you had to drink? I don't know, right? Well, especially if you're prepping for a competition, if you have a lot of travel, if it's a warm environment or maybe an environment at altitude, right? Hydration is going to be important to make sure that you've got good, consistent readiness going into that. Okay. For your recovery, I always think about recovery going back to my high school economics class. And for those who have been in or are in that or have been in that, right, you're familiar with the law of diminishing return, right? That the more you add to it, you might actually get a decreased return on the added value. And the same with your workouts, right? More is not always better. More is not always more. So this picture here shows that whenever recovery is not achieved, right? So whenever you work out too soon and you don't allow your body to recover properly or get back to that base level of readiness, as you might call it, right? You just see, as it says here, a decline in performance. And you could see a number of things. You could see a greater risk of injury. You could see, slower speeds or slower reaction times, okay? Gear up, right? Gear up for recovery. Make sure that you have the right tools. Maybe that's, ice packs or ACE bandages. Some people prefer using compression gear, which, can be helpful or useful in some situations, especially for long road trips or those types of situations. So make sure that you have the gear, do the research, and make sure that you know what you need and what's available to you to recover properly. For me, the cheapest and easiest thing that you can have is a good water bottle and a lacrosse ball. Because lacrosse ball, you can do a lot of self-massage, a lot of rolling out, and kind of work out some kinks. And with recovery, it's important to remember to breathe it in, right? So many times I think we take breath for granted in how it can benefit or aid our recovery, right? So sometimes just stopping for a moment, taking, 2 or 3 nice, good, deep breaths, you can almost feel your body relaxing, sinking into the chair, into the bed, especially, for students, you get those high pressure exams if you're watching the clock or if you're just, really stressing out over that one particular question. Just take a moment, right? Just take a nice deep breath in, out, feel your body kind of rest, relax, and then have a clear mind, going back into the task, right? So pillar number 2, nutrition. I actually break up nutrition into 4, as I mentioned, 4 habits, okay? And these 4 habits are different times that are really, kind of key and critical to your performance. Doesn't mean that you're going to need these habits every single day, because every day is not going to be a training day or that whatnot. But it's important to understand the importance of these periods and the role that they play, again, within your training and your performance. So for meals, okay, build a good base. Make sure that you know what you're putting on your plate and why. I'm sure we're all familiar with kind of the key macronutrients, protein, carbohydrates, and good healthy fats, okay? So know what constitutes each of those categories, and have a good idea, right? A plate full of rice and 1 chicken finger isn't really going to cut it. So have a good understanding of what makes, a good balanced meal. The 80-20 rule, what you do 80% of the time is going to give you far greater benefits. If 20% of the time, you allow yourself a little bit of slack, go off track a little bit, that's okay. For the higher performers, more elite athletes, the professionals, the Olympic or international athletes, that might be more of a 90-10 rule, just because of the level of competition that they're achieving or they're aiming for. But for most of us, right, the 80-20 rule is going to, it's going to help us achieve what we want. And again, measure what you manage, right? So knowing, and I'm not saying you got to carry a scale with you and keep a journal and those types of things. Once you understand how to have a good idea, general base, right, then you're all set from there. In terms of meals, a good tool to use is actually your hand, right? The palm or your palm is a good measuring stick for one serving of protein, right? So if you think about a hamburger patty, chicken, even some other non-meat, protein sources, eggs or tofu or whatever your preference is, right? Using your palm is a good measurement for that. Your fist, right? If you think about it, if your fist was an empty cylinder, filling your fist one time would be one serving of vegetables. Okay, and it could be broccoli or cauliflower, celery, spinach, kale, lettuce, something like that. All right, a cupped palm is a good measurement for one serving of carbohydrates, of grain, rice, quinoa, mashed potatoes, something like that. And then your thumb, right? Again, if your thumb was an empty cylinder, if you filled that up once, right, that would be kind of one serving of a good healthy fat, maybe oil-based salad dressing, olive oil and vinegar, something along those lines. All right. So again, just using your hand as a good measurement can help you kind of get a good base for building your plates. All right. For snacks, make sure you find the right mix. Again, proteins, carbs, healthy fats. Understand what those snacks are, or what category those snacks fit into, and have a good balance. All right. Don't buy in a panic. If you're going on a road trip, if you got an away game, make sure you plan ahead of time. The worst thing that you can do is be on the road, be starving, get into a gas station, and just buy up whatever you think, right? Chances are when we're hungry, we're going to buy off of panic or off of impulse. We're going to end up buying a lot of stuff that we probably don't want or don't need. All right. But if we take the time, plan ahead, right, get some beef jerky, get the good, crackers or trail mix or whatever, then we're more likely to have those good options whenever we need them. Right. For pre-training. Okay. And I don't refer to pre-training as the supplement that you throw into your shaker, right? This is pre-training is essentially another snack, but with the intention of kind of leading you into your practice, your training session, your workout. All right. Get the right fuel. Again, you don't want to have a pre-training, a pre-training snack that's going to ramp you up, right? Give you a lot of energy when you might need to be more focused and more technical with that training session. All right. Watch the clock. Make sure that a lot of pre-training snacks, it takes about 20 to 15, 20, maybe 30 minutes to fully digest. So the last thing you want to do is scarf it down, step onto the field, and now you've got this, this snack kind of rumbling around in your stomach, and you start feeling sick and nauseous, right? Understand and know how much time you need in order for whatever that snack is to kind of settle and give you a good, calm feeling going into practice. All right. For post-training, get what's right for you. Now, there's a lot of claims out there about, well, this supplement will help you gain X pounds, and this supplement right here will help you lose, X% of fat. Not everybody needs to be doing that. For some of us, it's just maintaining where we're at. Okay, so make sure you get what's right for you and for what you need. And more importantly, just because it works for your friend or for your teammate doesn't mean it's going to work for you, right? Each of us on this call, we could all take the same supplement at the same time and the same amount, and we'd all get different results, right? So it's important that you understand what you're taking, why, and how it fits in with your goals. And more importantly, right, especially going into college, you have to make sure that it's certified, that it's safe. Because if you ever ended up in a situation that you were drug tested and whatever you're taking is not cleared or not certified, if you get a positive test, you could be looking at suspension from play, suspension from school. You know, some athletes, some professional athletes are banned for, 1, 2, 3 seasons. So you want to be careful about what you pick for that. As I mentioned, fuel appropriately. So again, if you have a very technical, very kind of cognitive, thought-provoking type of training session, you probably don't need a high carbohydrate, post-workout supplement, right? Something just like a small peanut butter jelly, or maybe a piece of beef jerky might be good for you. All right. So make sure that the post-training supplement or post-training snack fits the training session. And don't spoil your dinner. I know a lot of times with high school and club athletics, you finish practice, you go home and eat dinner. And for most of us, home is only, 20, maybe 30 minutes away. So make sure that you're not having such a big post-training supplement that you spoil your dinner. All right. You can probably get plenty of replenishment once you sit down at the dinner table. All right. Pillar number 3, all right, gets into our readiness, and readiness is more physical readiness, right? So it's our mobility, our activation, physical training, and running or conditioning. And all of these things it's more about how our body is prepared or preparing for competition. All right. So mobility. Right? Get out of the rut. Don't keep doing what you're doing. The worst thing that you can do is come out of a season, the pandemic and the quarantine and everything is a good example. If we come out of this and we're still carrying the same injuries and the same pains and everything else, right, then it's very unlikely that we're going to be successful in getting through that next season. Take this time to improve your range of motion, your flexibility, your mobility, so that you're not carrying that same injury from year to year to year, right? Take your daily dose. Mobility, and one rule that I always live by is do a little, a lot, not a lot, a little, all right? Imagine if you do 5 minutes a day, every single day, right? You're doing 35 minutes a week, right? Versus if I said, hey, I want you to do 20 minutes a day, 3 days a week, right? It's only an hour, but because it's that 3 days a week instead of 7, you might start to lose your routine and lose your momentum. But, 5 minutes a day as a good Kickstarter, make sure that you get it in and take it on a regular basis. And there's more than one way to do it, right? A lot of athletes say, well, yoga is just not for me. It's too slow. Those things. Hey, that's fine, right? There's Pilates, there's foam rolling, there's, static stretching, partner stretching. There's even some dynamic stretching, right? Stuff that you can do in a gym, different series and movements with hurdles and those types of things. So there's more than one way that you can get your mobility work in. I always say activation is like lighting a fire, striking a match, right? Lighting a fire. It's getting the muscles and getting the body warmed up, right? And I always say it's little things. It's the small muscles that you don't think about, right? It's easy to think about your quads, your hamstrings, your biceps, triceps, but activation for me goes into the smaller muscles, the small technical kind of postural muscles that help keep all those bigger muscles in line and in check, right? And just like with mobility, consistency is key. You want to make sure that activation is done on a regular basis. because every time we go out and train or we go to class and we sit down for a long period of time, right, those smaller muscles can tend to kind of switch off a little bit. So we want to make sure that we're kind of keeping constant and keeping them activated. And like I say, light the fire, right? Activation is not the time to be chatting and you know, taking your time. I mean, we should be doing these intensely and you know, kind of with some rhythm, with some pace, getting the heart rate up a little bit and getting prepared for that activity, you know, or that workout that we're about to do. Physical training. All right. This could be, and I say physical training because there's a lot of different ways to do it. It's not always in the weight room. In fact, there's a lot of athletes who don't have access to weight rooms, especially right now. So to say weight training right here would kind of rule out a lot of folks. So I say physical training for that, you know, for that purpose. All right. So stay the course, right? A good workout program is going to take time to get you the results that you want. It's not going to be an overnight thing. So find a routine, stick with it, right? And stay consistent. Don't try and fit a square peg into a round hole. Fit a square peg into a square hole, right? Just like we said with our supplements. If what you see, you know, hey, I saw this professional doing it, or I saw, you know, my friend at this school doing this workout. Well, that's great. And that's what's needed for them. But you might be at a different level of training. Maybe you're a little bit above or a little bit behind them, right? Maybe you don't have as much experience. So make sure that the workout fits you and your ability and your goals. All right. And like I said, know thyself, know yourself. More importantly, know what you're capable of, what you need, and how your training session fits with what you're going after. With running and conditioning, all right, it's always important to, just like with a car, right, check your alignment. Make sure that your technique is in good stride, okay? If something's out of aligned, right, that's just like with your car. If your wheels are out of alignment, you're going to have all kinds of issues with your brakes and with your steering and your tires and all those things. Well, same with your body. If your running technique is out of alignment, then you're going to be having ankle issues and lower back issues and knee issues and all those things. So getting your running alignment checked and tightened up can help, you know, stay healthier and avoid some issues down the road, right? Know your limits. One of the things that, you know, I hear athletes all the time say, well, I'm going out, I run 10 miles 3 times a week. It's like, all right, well, what sport do you play? Well, I play football. All right, well, last time I checked, football players don't run, you know, 10 miles within a game, much less, you know, 2 games. So make sure that the running workout that you're doing fits kind of the sport that you're preparing for. All right, if you're preparing for a 5K or a 10K, hey, great, go on long runs. But if you're a team sport athlete, right, or even, you know, especially track athletes, make sure that the distance and the speeds that you're working at fit what you're aiming for. And mind your volume, all right? I use the example of the 10-mile run, right? Again, don't overtrain yourself for what it is that you're trying to compete in. And the last pillar is mindset, okay? And that's the habit with that is the mental game. All right, this is where a lot of athletes really miss out and you know, kind of miss the mark. So it's important to make sure that you give your mind the same recovery as your body. All right. And it's becoming more and more difficult these days with, you know, who knows how many apps and notifications and alarms and alerts and all those things. It's easy to have constant stimulation, constant alertness, you know, with everything around us, computers, phones, you know, cameras, all those things. So make sure that we take time to just take a mental break. Right, mental conditioning as well. There's some fun games that you can do to focus, to practice your mental focus and your mental conditioning. Right, there's different phrases and kind of terminology that you can use to help yourself through those mentally challenging situations. And then trust the process, just like we said with your workout program. All right. you have to set a plan and then stick to it and trust it, right? To wake up every day and say, well, I didn't like that yesterday, I'm going to do this today, right? Constantly changing is going to, you never stay on the same path, and you're never going to get the true result that you're aiming to, because you keep kind of changing the target. Okay, so make sure that you trust the process, set a good routine, right, and stay true to it. All right, so that's it for mine. I appreciate you listening in for this piece of the presentation. If you do have any questions, feel free to connect with me, with Universal Sports, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. Send me an email if you want. I do recommend checking out the YouTube channel. We've got over 200 videos on there of exercise demonstrations, small informational tips. We call them it's our 90 seconds of knowledge series, to where it's just short 90-second clips on different topics or exercise technique. We have some longer discussions, team huddles, and then of course some other presentations. Or if you want, you can sign up for our newsletter. It goes out 3 times a week, or kilograms to kilometers. We cover everything from from the field to the bedtime. And each week we highlight one of those 12 high performance habits. So you can check that out there. But that's it for me. All right. So if anyone has any questions,